I think we have enough number of participants to begin our session. So today's session is about divorce through a child's lens. So to start off, when we talk about divorce, we usually talk about the reasons, responsibilities, blame, adjustments, or even legal outcomes. But children don't experience this cognitively, meaning they experience this more emotionally. And this session is about shifting our perspective about why adults separate to what children live through every day when a marriage is unhappy, conflicted, or even abusive, and how adults can respond to this. So this workshop is for both adults and children, and we are not here to judge divorce. We are here to understand how marital environment affects a child's environment, emotional world, and whether parents stay together or even separated. So how that affects the child. So that will be the focus for today. Okay. So hi, I'm Vanshita. I am a counseling psychologist who believes that every individual holds a potential for growth and transformation. I approach my work with open mindedness and cultural sensitivity, creating a safe, non judgmental space for my clients to explore their emotions and challenges. And I'm also guided by the belief that life's gray areas can turn lighter with support. And I'm committed to foster healing and resilience. I have a master's in applied psychology and I have experience in diverse settings. I specialize in stress management, complex PTSD recovery, emotional regulation, relationship issues, and also enhancing one's vitality. That is how alive that they feel. And I've also worked in rehabilitation settings, and I help clients rebuild connections, strengthen coping strategies, and find meaning. And next, we can move on to the co-host. Shweta, you can introduce yourself.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Vanshika.
Vansh.
Uh, so, Thank you for taking the time to join us today, participants. So, my name is Shweta, and I'll be co-hosting today's session. I'm a junior psychologist, and over the past few years, I have had the opportunity to work closely with children and adolescents within the mental health space. I'm truly glad to see you all here as we come together to explore an important and sensitive topic: children shaping diverse decisions. And next, we have some disclaimers. So this workshop is for educational purpose only. This session does not replace professional mental health support. You are encouraged to take care of yourself during the session. Participation is voluntary. Kindness and confidentiality are expected. We maintain a respectful and safe atmosphere. Any personal information shared by participants should not be discussed outside this workshop. Trigger sensitive content may be discussed. Although we aim to keep this session safe, some topics may be emotionally activating. Please take care of your emotional boundaries. And here are some ground rules. Keep your cameras and mic off. You are encouraged to participate to keep the workshop engaging. Questions will be answered at the end. Please avoid triggering details. So thank you, participants, to joining in once again. And over to Vanshita.
Thank you, Shweta. And we can begin off by a small activity, right? So familiar just means family. So I just want you to, use one word to describe what you think of your family. You can put it in the chat box. Okay. When we ask adults to describe, about their family, usually one word might pop up, from their emotional memory, probably not logic. And so maybe you can share that in the chat box. Safe zone, that's very nice. Okay. Others? Wonderful. Yeah, your mother. Yeah. Our mothers are very special to us. Healthy growing environment. Yes, we really need that to, develop into uh, good adults who can, engage well in social settings also. Trauma and dysfunctional, yes, sometimes that can also happen in a family. Complicated, yes, true, agreed. Yeah. So yes, so I can see a lot of people, having different perspectives, and that is invited. Individual clarity from collective chaos. Yes, correct. Sometimes it might be difficult to find our own voice amidst the chaos, and to, come out of that is great. Yeah. And it also takes a lot of hard work, right? Cage. Okay. Yes, to some it is a cage, because especially since in our culture we are a collectivistic culture, it is in a way meant for us to be together. Sometimes that can feel suffocating. Yes. Yeah. So thank you all for participating. So yes, you described, your families, and before we, start off the workshop, I'll just discuss about the objectives of the workshop. So we'll be discussing about the common causes of divorce, understand the impact of unhappy or abusive marriages on children, adolescents, and why adolescents may first of all initiate or support divorce, and also equip parents and adolescents with constructive communication tools. Okay. So, to speak about divorce, divorce is more visible in our country now, and it's because of, cultural or generational attitudes, change shift in that. And also people nowadays, they give more emphasis to their emotional well-being over endurance. Before it was like, we can't break our marriage, we have to, we have to be together for a very long time. But now emotional well-being is given more importance, and divorce is not just a legal issue anymore, it is also a mental health one. So people prioritize their mental health, which is a good sign for one's own well-being. So again, a small question for you guys. What causes repeated conflict in marriages? What do you think? Participants are free to type in the chat box. What do you think causes repeated? Yeah, financial instability. Yes, definitely. Yeah, cultural aspects can create, yeah, unresolved issues within themselves. Yes, definitely. No mutual understandings. Yeah, without proper communication, that can happen. A lot of misunderstandings, insecurities. Yes, lack of understanding. Definitely. Like unhealed them. Yeah, if they're not healed, they might project their issues onto others. True. Emotional understanding. Okay. Infidelity issues. Yes. Yeah, unusual expectations. Yeah, when expectations are not met, especially, that can also create a lot of disappointments. Yeah, thank you all. So yeah, like you guys said, poor communication. Yeah, poor communication means that emotions are not clearly expressed, and needs are not, articulated properly, they're not said properly, and conflicts remain unresolved. So over a period of time, what happens is that since the conflicts remain unresolved, this leads to resentment, and this resentment again leads to misunderstandings of future conversations that you have, and it in a way creates emotional distance. And children growing up in such homes often learn about emotions are either, explosive, or it's very unsafe to express what they might feel. And there might be financial stress, and which can create a chronic tension in a household, and money related conflict can all often arise, like they might feel fear, blame, or they can also feel power struggle. And children absorb this anxiety even when they are not directly involved, and they may, develop insecurities or guilt around their needs because of this also. And infidelity, like you guys said in the chat box, so it is when one person cheats, has an extramarital affair, right? And it breaks trust at a very fundamental level. And marriages or any other relationship is built on the basic grounds of trust, respect. So it just takes it away. So this creates an emotional fallout, which includes anger, betrayal, emotional withdrawal, instability, all of which the children can sense. Parents might think, okay, we are not shouting, we are not fighting with each other, that the child can hear, but the child can see the minute differences that happen in the household. They can see that the parents are not talking like they used to. They are using me as a mediator to talk to the other parents. So they understand all of this. And even when the child hides the details, children feel the shift in the emotional safety, that is. And also gender roles. Rigid gender roles can often create an imbalance in expectations, responsibilities, and powers. And when one partner feels overburdened or unheard, they again build resentment. This again negatively impacts their relationship. And mental health issues. Untreated mental health issues like depression, anxiety, or even substance abuse can severely affect communication and emotional availability. So it is very important to address one's mental health and carry forward. So we have a small ad break now. Just like on YouTube, it's free. There's an ad. If it's free, there's an ad. So grab some popcorn for the small presentation here. So we'll look at what one-on-one counseling is. So one-on-one counseling is a personalized, confidential session between a client and a trained therapist. There's personal growth, that is, you gain insights into your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. There's problem solving involved. So they address specific issues like anxiety, stress, or relationship problems. And you also set goals and work towards personal or professional goals with the support of the counselor. And there are some misconceptions when it comes to counseling. So the misconception is that counseling is only for sick people, whereas in reality it can be used to improve your relationships. You can make more friends, you can seek academic excellence or success, and also you can use it for your career advancements. Like you can make changes in your the way you think and behave in order to be the better version of yourself. And why you should choose MindTribe's counseling, because we have highly talented counselors. So that, and we also have very affordable charges. So our counseling sessions range from rupees 800 to 2,400 depending on the seniority of the counselor. And there's minimal investment. So our first session is just for rupees 449. And we also have very affordable packages which are very budget friendly. So if you have any urgent questions, feel free to ask about your counseling services before we resume our presentation. So you can put it down in the chat box. I'll again be sharing the details in the group, so you can reach out to me anytime you want. So coming back to the presentation, we'll look at what happens in an abusive marriage. Okay. So one, domestic violence. So violence is not just physical, emotional violence is also involved in that. And this includes humiliation, intimidation, control, constant criticism. And children exposed to this environment state can, always have this emotional alertness. That is, they can never rest. They're always in an alert state. And the substance abuse and addiction introduces more unpredictability into the relationship, which can lead to also emotional neglect or fear among the children, even the spouse. Children may become more hyper vigilant. They are constantly scanning for danger, which is also not good for the child. And there's parental alienation or manipulation. This happens when a child is pulled into an adult conflict and asked to take sides. So the child is confused. What am I supposed to do here? Am I supposed to take my mother's side or my father's side? And it takes place. It takes emotional responsibility on the child that they are not that they are not developmentally equipped to handle. So they are not ready for this. And when children put their child in between their fights, it's very difficult for the child to cope. And next, chronic silent treatment or emotional neglect. Silence can be as damaging as shouting. Some parents might think, okay, I'm not shouting, so it's not a big deal. No. Silence can also sometimes feel like you're withdrawing, and the child sometimes wonder, what did I do that my father or mother is not talking to me? What did I do? And children also learn that emotional needs are ignored or punished, so that is not a very nice thing for the child to experience. And there's also displacement of anger on the child. Okay, displacement is when you have an anger or some issue with somebody and you show that on somebody else. For example, your boss shouts on you, you come back and show that anger to your spouse because you can't get angry at your boss. So the same way, when an unresolved marital anger is redirected towards the child becomes the emotional outlet there, because the spouse is not able to show the anger on the partner, and this damages the self-worth and the emotional safety of the child, right? Yeah. So any doubts, is it all clear? Yes, I will. Yes, okay, I will move on. I'm assuming it was understood. Okay, we have a small case study here. Okay, so Arjun is 15 years old. His father frequently comes home drunk. Evenings often escalate into loud arguments between his parents. Conflicts include yelling, slamming doors, and breaking objects. The tense home environment affects Arjun's concentration and sleep. He avoids inviting friends home due to embarrassment or fear. Arjun often feels anxious and worried about potential conflicts. He tries to intervene during fights to calm his father or check on his mother. Despite his efforts, the cycle of conflict continues regularly. As a result, Arjun feels constantly tense, unsafe, and emotionally drained. Okay, here the child is quite confused as to what to do, right? He's trying to resolve the issue, but he sees that there's nothing in his control, right? So there's a lot of frustration that builds, and he's constantly in a very tense state. Like some of you had mentioned that, when I asked you what family is to you, you meant calm. You said you typed in calm, safe, home, and all that. But for this child, the home is no longer a safe environment. Okay. When he feels constantly drained, which is also not a good sign, and it's affecting his concentration and sleep, which will also affect his social behavior or how he behaves in school. Maybe since he's not getting enough sleep at home, he might sleep in the school, which might concern the teachers. So it has a ripple effect. Now we have case study 2. Nisha is a 17-year-old. Her parents argue almost daily about money, responsibilities, trust issues. Family meals are tense and comfortable. We want a meal in which we are calm. We want to eat something at peace, right? So her family meals are not like that. And Nisha often witnesses her mother crying. At times, her mother vents her anger and frustration on Nisha. Nisha is criticized or blamed for small mistakes and family stress. Her father is emotionally distant and uninvolved. Nisha frequently tries to mediate between her parents and suggests solutions. The constant conflicts affects her studies, friendship. She feels emotionally unsafe and stressed at home. The home environment feels unpredictable and unstable. Okay. And it is very difficult for a person, especially a child, even though she's 17-year-old, she's still dependent on her parents. So when the home environment feels very unpredictable and unsafe, it's very difficult for the child to focus on other things that they probably should be focusing on at that age, maybe making friends, having some fun, studying, preparing for the board exams. So it's very difficult. And also she's blamed for small things that happen at the house. So her mother uses Nisha as an emotional outlet, right? Which again is not the right way. And now we'll look at impact of unhappy or abusive marriages on children. What do you think the emotional impact might be? Anybody in the chat box? Yeah, Kanvi, you can go ahead. Yeah, You can speak. I can't hear you. Kanvi?
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are. You are.
Okay. Sorry, that was a different setting from my phone about microphone access. So thank you. I feel a person who is living in an abusive family, like the marriage thing, the parents are not in, emotionally, it will be that person will not be able to understand his or her emotion and will always be in a mode of survival as well
Mm.
as like trying to fix things, and ultimately in future life, future part of her also, if she's not able to resolve it, because obviously that person will not have enough, you know, knowledge of doing right. We learn all the time. So in future also that person is gonna attract emotionally unavailable persons, what I feel. uh,
Yeah.
and obviously that will do interfere the emotional things in the career, in the relationship, and in the health tech sector also. And that person can be avoidant also.
Yeah, very, very well said. Like how, they are treated in their childhoods can potentially impact the kind of partners that they choose in the future. Very, very true. And Sri Lakshmi says traumatic childhood. To sum up, child fearing marriage or companion as an adult, yes. Trust issues, yes, because the child does not feel safe at home. So they clearly do not sometimes understand whom they can trust. And isolation issues may come up, yes, right? They can feel alone because, right, bad interpretation, interpersonal relationships, yes, addictions can also rise up, yeah, to cope. Exactly, you're very well put it, Sri Lakshmi. And somebody in the chat box, Divija Priya, has asked about parental alienation, if I could explain it. Yeah, definitely. So parental alienation is that when child is pulled into an adult conflict. Okay, for example, parents are fighting and they in a way say that, okay, because of you only, the child is scoring low marks, and the child is, put in the middle, and they're probably even asked to take sides. You tell me if I'm right or wrong, tell what your father has done. So this in a way puts emotional responsibilities on the child that they've not learned to handle. They don't know how to handle the situations, and they feel quite confused. So, did I explain that to you, Divija? Okay. So, I think we can move forward, right? So, thank you for the participation. So, there's emotional distress when we talk about emotional impact. So, emotional distress does not always look like crying. In children, it often looks like constant worry, fear, or a sense of heaviness that they cannot really explain. Many children may describe this as something feels wrong all the time, even when nothing specific is happening at that time, right? And there might be guilt and shame involved. Children are, you know, they assume that all are connected to them somehow. They think because of them, all these problems are happening. And like I said about parental alienation, when parents bring in the child in between their conflict, they think that, okay, I'm the reason why my parents are fighting. So when parents fight, the child might think, okay, if I behaved a little bit better, if I didn't cause the stress, maybe this wouldn't have happened. If I had, scored better marks in my exams, my parents would have not started fighting. My father would have not blamed my mother for not teaching me some lessons or paying proper attention to me. And over a period of time, this creates this deep guilt and shame, even though the conflict has nothing to do with them. Okay, and there's confusion or indecision. So in high conflict homes, messages are very inconsistent. Okay, like I told you, it's very unpredictable, it's not very stable, the household environment is not stable. So the messages that they receive are also not very stable. One day a parent might say everything is fine, the next day everything might be a chaos. So this creates confusion, and children don't know what to believe, who is safe, or what will happen next. As they grow older, this confusion can turn into something like, they might find it very hard to make decisions or trusting their own judgments also. And it can also build up to resentment or anger. Children are not just some emotionless observers. They feel angry at one or both parents also for fighting, for probably not protecting them emotionally, or for making them feel unsafe. They have this anger. But because expressing anger towards the parents feels unsafe, that anger often gets buried or redirected to something else. Probably because their home environment is quite unstable, and they're not able to express their frustration to their parents, the anger to their parents. They might show it at school. There might be, violent behaviors at school, right? I'm not saying this is the course that the parents said, but these are the possibilities that might happen. And they might also develop low self-esteem. When a child grows up feeling emotionally unseen or blamed, they internalize one powerful belief that I am not important. And this belief forms the foundation of low self-esteem, and this carries on to the adulthood, right? Even in, like all of you said, in the adulthood, like the relationships that they form, they might have this as their foundational value, that I'm not important, right? And that can create a lot of problems. I hope that was clear. Yeah, thank you. So next we'll look at the behavioral impact that the child goes through. So there's aggression, like we previously discussed. Aggression is often misunderstood as a bad behavior, but in reality, it is frequently unexpressed fear, anger, or even helplessness coming out in other ways. And children who witness aggression at home may also learn aggression is how emotions are displayed or showed or expressed. They think that is the way, because that is what they've been taught. They think that is the way to express. So they don't learn other healthy forms of letting out their emotions. And there's irritability and parentification. So many children become constantly irritable, not because they're difficult, but because they're emotionally overloaded, overwhelmed. And some children also become parentified. That is, they take on the roles of adults, like calming parents, managing siblings, or emotionally supporting a parent. Okay, the parents might think, oh, this is a very nice thing. My child has become a very responsible child. But in reality, that is not the role of the child. The role of the child is to, at that point, probably play sometimes, have fun sometimes, maybe make mistakes. It is not their role to, calm the parents, manage the siblings. So they're growing up too fast, right? And this kind of robs them of their childhood. And there's social withdrawal. Some children cope by withdrawing. They may avoid friends, they isolate themselves, or they even stop sharing things at home, because when they share, they probably did not receive the right kind of response from the parents. So they've stopped doing that. And this is kind of a protective response where they say, if I don't connect, I won't get hurt. Okay. And there's also risk taking. I think Sri Lakshmi had put it in the comment section that substance abuse might be coping strategies. Yes. So some of the risky behaviors might be substance abuse, reckless action, unsafe relationships, right? These behaviors are not about rebellion alone. They are often attempt to escape their emotional pain or regain a sense of control. So that is why some of the children do, engage in risky behavior. A child who's emotionally, and they also sometimes, they refuse to go to school and things like that. So child who's, sometimes emotionally preoccupied cannot fully engage in academics. And this can lead to poor concentration, falling grades, or loss of motivation. This is quite common. And this is not due to the lack of ability, but due to the emotional overload that they take on. and we'll quickly go through the physical impact. So when they might have problems sleeping, because in high conflict homes, it's often a struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep. Probably while they're sleeping, there's a fight that is happening, or they're constantly worried, okay, some fight is going to happen, or some problem is going to happen. So they might have difficulty sleeping, like your child is completely normal, like there's nothing physical, there's no physical symptom that is showing that your child is not well, but because of stress there are symptoms that are shown in the body. Okay, and there are appetite changes. Probably some children might lose their appetite due to anxiety. Some might overeat, which can lead to weight gain, and again that might lead to self-esteem issues. And both are responses to emotional regulation, right? They don't know how to properly cope with with such environments at home. And there might be fatigue, that is they might feel tired. And especially living in a household environment where emotions are constantly at a high can feel quite exhausting for the child, and the child may appear lazy or unmotivated when in reality they are more emotionally drained. They don't have anything to give because they've already put in so much effort trying to mediate between the parents or trying to stay away from that. They've already put in so much energy and effort into that. They seem like they don't have motivation for other things in life. And they might also have lowered immunity, like they might have chronic stress which can weaken their immune system. They might get sick quite often, and that is not because they're weak but because their body is constantly under stress. So we looked at the emotional, behavioral and physical impact. So was that clear? Do you have any doubts? Yes, thank you. Which part was not audible, Mr. Vivek? If you want, I can go through that again.
No, it is okay.
It is okay? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I will proceed to the next slide. And thank you all for being engaging. So now we will come to the part where why children encourage divorce. Okay, that's uh, when when children express support for divorce, it is often misunderstood as disrespect, especially in our community where divorce is not seen as a very good thing. It's a taboo topic. So when children kind of initiate or support this, it is misunderstood as disrespect, immaturity, or interference. In reality, it is usually a proactive response, and they're not trying to reject their family. They're trying to think, okay, maybe if my parents get separated, it might create more peace in the family. And children don't ask for separation because they want distance, but they do that mostly because they want some relief in their lives. Okay, and one of the main reasons for them asking their parents is that they want emotional safety. For a child, emotional safety means that knowing home is not a place of fear, tension, or even unpredictability. When arguments are frequent or intense, children remain in this constant state of alertness. And in their mind, encouraging divorce is like a way to stop this emotional danger, right? And they want a peaceful home. Okay. Many children don't wish for happy parents, they wish for actually quiet ones. A peaceful home, even in two separate spaces, can feel like one home filled with conflict. And for a child, peace often means more than togetherness. Like imagine being in a home where two parents are always fighting. There's no peace there. might as well them be in two different houses where they are more calm because they're not upsetting each other, and in turn they're not upsetting the child, and the child feels much more safer and calm. And sometimes it is because they're trying to protect one parent. Children are highly sensitive to emotional pain, especially in a parent they feel close to. They may see one parent crying, withdrawn, or overwhelmed, and feel strong urge to protect them. And encouraging separation can feel like a way to rescue that parent from ongoing pain. So they might be like, you don't have to go through this, because the child feels the pain for the parent, right? Like the child assumes a role of a friend and encourages one parent to take divorce in a certain sense because they don't want them to go through that pain. And they are seeking stability. Constant conflict creates this environment of unpredictability, emotional unpredictability to be accurate, and children don't know what mood will greet them when they come home, or what the next argument, or what or when the next argument will happen about. And divorce may seem like the right way to bring back structure, routine, and emotional clarity back to their lives. And sometimes children also feel responsible to fix the problems. Okay, some children feel it is their responsibility to restore peace. When nothing they do works, suggesting divorce might feel like the right solution in their mind. And this, in a way, is not really maturity. This is them, in a way, expressing their emotional overload, right? So when a child says, maybe you should separate, what they really are saying is that I can't carry this anymore, right? They are not trying to interfere. They are not trying to be disrespectful. They're just saying, I can't carry this anymore. Okay. Now we look at the different ways adolescents or children may communicate their unhappiness about the marriage or the household situation. Okay, so they might sometimes adolescents in general, they rarely express distress directly. So instead of saying I'm emotionally overwhelmed, they often communicate through their behavior, silence, and symptoms. And one of them is emotional withdrawal or silence. So again, silence can be misunderstood as indifference. That is, oh, she does not care. Oh, she has so much attitude. Oh no. But in reality, it is again a very protective mechanism. Adolescents withdraw when they feel unsafe to express their emotions. They learn that speaking up either causes conflict, or whatever they say goes unheard. So they feel like, what is the point of me saying anything, because it will either cause a conflict or it will be misunderstood, right? And there is another way that they might show unhappiness is by showing irritability or sudden defiance. Okay, like they might rebel. So when we talk about irritability, it's one of the most common expressions of distress among adolescents. When emotions are bottled up, they might often come out as anger or defiance, right? They're so frustrated inside because they feel like there's nothing in their control, right? They're trying to mediate and that is not working. They're trying to support one parent, that is not working. So it can come out as anger or rebelling. And again, this is not disrespect. They're not trying to show disrespect. They are just dysregulated. Okay, they don't know how to regulate their emotions. Next, they might have headaches, stomach aches. Okay, many adolescents experience physical symptoms without a clear medical cause. There might be stress, anxiety. Often, it can often come out through your body. That is, it can always express itself through your body, like having pains, joint pains. And these symptoms are real even if the medical tests show that everything is normal. Okay, again, the doctors might wonder what is wrong. There's nothing wrong. The scans show that everything is perfect. But because your body is so stressed, there are symptoms. And they might avoid home. Some adolescents stay out longer. They spend more time with friends or immerse themselves in, their screens, use phones. And again, avoiding home is a coping strategy because they no longer feel safe in their house. There's always a conflict going on, and they don't want it because they're already very tired. Okay. And they might also say things like, I wish things were different. And adolescents, like I said earlier, often communicate distress indirectly. Statements like these are not very casual. They are like they are emotional signals, and it is their way of showing pain without triggering or confrontation. Right? That is their way of saying, okay, I don't know what to do. This feels very emotionally overwhelming. I wish things were different. So the parent should really step in then and see, like, okay, what is something that is bothering my child? What can I do about it? Is something that the parents must think about. Okay. So is there anything? Okay, there's comment section. Yeah. Yes, the child becomes hypervigilant. They kind of, yes, by becoming parents, yeah, and all that. Yes. My parents are still fighting, shouting at each other outside my room, even though there's a worker at home. I feel so triggered at the moment that I'm not even able to focus in the session. I'm so sorry that it is happening to you. Sometimes it can be quite overwhelming for the child, especially to go through such emotions. Yes. At the end of this, we will go through a grounding technique. Okay. When you feel very emotionally overwhelmed, we'll try to use that technique to bring us back to the present moment. It's a very simple technique that you can always try. Maybe some of you might already know this, right? And yes, yeah, right. So thank you for sharing so much. And now we'll look at how parents can respond. So before I go on to the slide, so if a child is coming and expressing distress or telling that, I wish things were different, how do you think the parent should respond? How would you want your parents to respond if you said that? Anybody in the chat box? How do you think? How do you want? Yes, Kamini, you can go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Ethically, in Indian societies, it is not usually not accepted, but they should respond with empathy, understanding, and even if they are finding it difficult to understand, they should not respond or react. They should just listen, and after some time, they should have a discussion with themselves and with the other partner of them, the mother or father, and then they should discuss and they should find a solution instead of telling in a journal, household, like that like they are doing it messy only, we didn't have that problem. But usually the situation is practical situation is like that only, that they ignore. But ethically, even if they are not able to understand it, they should control their own self and should have a perspective of a listener, and they should self-reflect, and then they should again have a conversation with the child, like what is the issue, which are usually lagged in unaware parents or unhealed parents.
Yeah, very, very beautifully put. Yes, even if you don't know, to say the right things, it is important for you to be very calm when the child is saying something, because they're going to remember how you reacted to that situation, how you responded to it, right? Rather than what you're exactly saying. So that also is very important. So thank you for, putting that out there. And Bhumika says communication and understanding. maturity that even their children are also humans and they have their own emotions and opinions, and they must listen. Yes, definitely. Yeah, because yeah, like you said, children are their own individuals, right? They should also feel like their opinions are valued in that household, especially when things that are happening among the parents are affecting the child. So when children's opinions are not heard, they feel like, okay, I have no space in this household. So that can lead to them spending more time outside the house, because they feel like they're not valued in the house. Yes. And yeah, you have to listen to care. Yes, definitely, right? And not react. Definitely, yes, correct. They should not take a reaction or response as a bratty behavior or overreaction. Yes, definitely right. Because like I said earlier, it is not disrespect. They are just too emotionally overwhelmed to respond in the way that the parents want, right? So yeah. So now let's quickly go through the way parents can, react calmly. So when children express discomfort, parents often feel blamed or attacked or judged. So they might say like, "You don't understand. We are doing the best. This is adult business." But defensiveness shuts down emotional safety. So listening calmly does not mean agreeing. So it means staying regulated enough to hear the child's emotional experience in the first place. What we have to listen to what the child is saying in the first place, and then a calm response teaches the child that my emotions and feelings are allowed here. Right? That is very important. And it is important to reassure the child that it is not their responsibility. Okay. Many children silently believe that they are the reason that their parents are fighting. So they might think, if I behave better and things like that. So you have to explicitly say, like openly use proper words saying it is not your fault. Okay, this is not your fault and this is not your job to fix. It must be stated very clearly, and this reduces guilt, anxiety, and emotional burden. And also, parents should avoid confiding adults' problems to children, because this can place the child in between the problems, which can be very unsafe for the child. So healthy parenting means, because parents often turn children for emotional support, as seeking adult support from adults and not children. Yes, I understand that the parents can have trouble, but they have to find support from other adults and not the child. And maintaining healthy contact with both parents where safe. That is, children benefit from secure, stable relationships with both parents when it is safe to do so. Speaking negatively about the other parent or limiting contact unnecessarily creates loyalty conflicts, right? So the child does not understand what is going on and might choose one side. And children should not be forced to choose sides in the first place. And protecting child's relationship with both the parents supports their emotional stability. So the parent, when they're angry at one partner, they might feel like, okay, they should not be talking to the other partner, but that is really not good for the child, unless if the other partner is very if the partner is very volatile, or if they are very abusive, then it can be considered, right? But if the partner is healthy and they're just having some communication issues between the partners, then you should think about the child also. And the parents can also seek family counseling or other mediation supports. Like, some family patterns cannot be resolved until there's an external support involved, because there's a third perspective that comes in, right? Seeking help is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of responsibility. And family counseling provides a neutral space where emotions can be expressed safely and boundaries can be restored. It helps shift the child out of the emotion out of the space where everything is my fault, and to being to their rightful role of being a child. Okay. So children do not actually need perfect parents, they need emotionally available and regulated parents. How parents respond can either increase the child's burden or finally allow the child to put it down, right? Put their guard down. So we have a small case study here. So there is a 16-year-old Ria who tells her parents maybe both would be happier apart. Her mother felt shocked and hurt, while her father grew defensive. The room went silent. Both parents didn't know how to respond. They were filled with guilt, anger, and confusion. Okay. So, so what do you think might be going through Ria's mind when she said that? When she said maybe you would be better, you would be happier apart, right? What do you think was going on in her head? How do you think her parents respond to this moment? And what kind of reaction might make things worse? Since we don't have much time, you can put it in the chat box. I'll read it, and I think we can go to the next slide, right? But if you have any responses, please do put it in the chat box. So the first response might be, maybe when the child says, maybe you both might be better, happier apart, the parent reacted with anger and guilt. Mother cried, so you want to break the family now? And the father snapped, you're too young to understand marriage. The conflict shifted to blaming Ria for interfering in adult matters, right? Whereas she just thought she was doing good, or she expressed her opinion. Ria felt silenced and guilty, began emotionally withdrawing because she felt like her opinions are not valued here. Spent more time alone, grades declined, anxiety increased. What began as a plea for peace became a heavy emotional burden, right? Another situation, Ria's parents, another scenario, like the same thing, but a different way the parents reacted. Ria's parents paused and chose to respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively. So they respond calmly. They sat her down and gently asked her what made her feel that way. But by listening without judgments, they learned she felt anxious and burdened by their fights. They reassured her that their problems weren't hers to fix and would be handled by the adults as adults. And they decided to seek family counseling to improve communication. And Ria felt heard, supported, and free from guilt of fixing her parents' marriage. Now it's very clear to her, her parents' marriage is not her fault, right? She has not done anything to damage it or ruin it. So here are some ways, if you're a child, how you can, cope in situations like this, right? From the comment section, I can see that there are a few people who are going through similar situations, and there might be others. So even this is even for parents. So how can children cope in such situations, right? So first, the child needs to express their concerns safely to a trusted adult. Children need at least one emotionally safe adult that they can talk to. This could be a teacher, school counselor, relative, therapist, or another trusted adult also. And speaking to someone outside the conflict allows the child to express their emotions more freely without fear, right? And it is also the second point is that they should recognize it's not their job to fix their parents' marriage. This is the most important thing, because they blame themselves and they feel guilty about it, right? And children also feel the pressure to mediate, calm situations, or emotionally support parents. And helping them step out of this role, okay, this adult role, reduces guilt, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion. Adults must actively reinforce this message, and children cannot figure this out on their own. Okay, so it's the duty of the adults to tell children that it's not your fault, it's not your responsibility. We are adults, we'll take care of our problems, right? And next, they can join, support groups, any family groups if available. So support groups remind children that they're not alone. There are other people also going through similar things, so they can learn from others or what they went through and how they dealt with such issues, right? Hearing others share similar experiences reduces shame and isolation. They don't anymore feel like, okay, I'm the only one who has this problem, there are others. And yeah, and it also normalizes their feelings and provides peer-based emotional validation. Even informal support like a school's counselor group can be quite stabilizing for the child. And they can also build coping strategies, right, which I will focus on again. So coping strategies can be used to regulate their emotions when they feel stressed. These strategies, they don't have to change the family situations. They can change how the child feels to such situations. They can help the child feel calm during such problems, when any problem that arises at home, right? So these are the strategies. So we'll look at how to how emotional expression can help, how physical or stress relief can help, how social support can help, how setting healthy boundaries can help, and how self-care routines can help. So when we talk about emotional expression, children need safe ways to express or release emotions. Okay, so this can be through journaling, drawing, music, writing letters. They don't have to send them, right? They don't have to send it to anybody. It can also be by talking. And expression often prevents emotional buildup and helps child make sense of what they're feeling. The goal is not to analyze the emotions, but let them move through it actually. And there might be physical stress relief also. Like, stress lives in our body. So regular movement like breathing exercises, stretching, or relaxation technique can help regulate the body. And physical release can reduce anxiety, it can improve sleep. So even small routines like walking or basic box breathing can help and make a difference. And also maintaining a healthy nutrition is quite important. And social support. So connection is a very powerful protective factor. So you can have supportive friends and family who can really help you. And you can have peer groups who will make you feel like you're not the only ones who are going through this. Okay, you feel, okay, there are others going through this, so I can cope with this. It gives you hope. And talking to, again, trusted ones, right? Children don't need a lot of people, just a few who are emotionally safe for them. And setting boundaries. This is very important. So boundaries protect children from emotional overload. This includes stepping away from parental arguments, not taking sides, and saying things like, I need a break right now. Boundaries are not disrespect, they are self-protection. Children may need adult guidance as to how to safely set these boundaries. And lastly, we have some self-care routines that they can take, right? Like they can have their own hobbies that can relax them and have adequate sleep, right? And self-care reminds the children that their lives are more important than the conflict that is happening at home. And consistency in small routines can build emotional stability. So in the chat box, you can put down what are your some self-care routines that you guys use. So if you can put that in the chat box, that would be great. We've reached the end of the workshop. You guys can put in the self-care routines that you can do. Can you please go back to the first slide? Children's. Yes, I can do that. Yeah, I'll complete this and I'll go back to the first slide. Divija. Okay, music, skincare, yeah, doing painting, that's great. Gym, dancing, great. Nice, very, very nice, guys. Right. So to summarize, adolescence, there are some triggers that that adolescents have when conflicts at home are very, very high. So we have seen how they can deal with that. We've seen how impact of marital conflict can have on the child in the terms of physical, emotional, behavioral. And we saw the signs of distress, how they behave and how they feel. And we also saw safe ways for emotional expression, right? And also how supportive parental response can help a child is also something that we discussed. and how open family communication can help a child. Like we saw the example case study of Ria, where in a situation where she said, okay, it would be better if you guys were apart. There were two scenarios where in one scenario the parent was very angry and shouted, "You're just a child, don't interfere." And the other one, they listened very calmly. So that is very, very important. And the final aspect is, prioritizing mental health. Children cannot fully control a family conflict, but they can be supported in learning how to protect their emotional health. And coping is not about becoming strong too early. It is more about carrying what was never theirs to carry, right? So that brings us to the end of the session. And if you have any reflections or any takeaways from the session, you can put it down in the chat box. And we'll just go through one small exercise, right? It's a grounding exercise. Most probably, since I've seen some of you have attended previous workshops, you might know this before. Okay. So it's called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. Okay. It's a grounding technique when you feel very emotionally overwhelmed. To bring you back to the present moment, you can use this technique. So I would like for all of you to take a deep breath. Sri Lakshmi, yes? Is there something?
Yes, ma'am. I had a question. Uh,
Can
can
we
you
do it
hear me?
after the technique?
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I would like you guys to take a deep breath. Exhale. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Right? You can open your eyes and you can, look at 5 things around you. Actually notice them, what are the colors, the shape that is in. So take your time, look around you, notice 5 things. If you're done with that, next, I want you to touch 4 things that are around you. Touch them, feel the texture, feel how you're holding it in your hands, how the texture of the material feels. Right? I want you to next hear 3 things around you. Any noises, sounds that are around you. It might be, a car honking or my voice, anything that you're hearing. 3 things. Once you're done with that, I want you to take notice of 2 things that you can smell. I know this might be a little hard, but try, if you're done with the smell sense, now we will move back. Now the last one, I want you to try to taste one thing in your tongue, like obviously. So try tasting anything, like, if you're not able to taste anything right now, probably imagine your favorite food and imagine you're eating it and taste it. Yours is chicken biryani. Okay. So yeah. So that's it for the grounding technique. And Sri Lakshmi, you can, yes, go on.
Ma'am, I had a doubt, ma'am. Usually, the children, when maybe the child is forced to go with a parent, or usually when it is a minor child, or maybe the child is interested in, most probably I have seen mothers or also fathers. In many exceptional cases there are also children who are interested in fathers and they go
Yeah.
with them. But later these children are like, I felt mostly I have seen that these children are put into like a kind of in a pressured situation where they are like forced to like perform excel in many things, or like in general to stay happy, because like they the one parent needs the validation, that the parent who is taking care needs validation that the parent is taking care of the child very well. But it is good in case of a one parent being toxic, the other one is taking care the child in a good way, it is good. But when both parents are not that toxic, but they separated due to some normal reasons, like not comfortable for them, so in that case, is it good that we are putting the pressure on the child to excel, like become multi-talented, like simply putting the pressure, not that the child may be interested or that the child is not. I think they may not be easily allowed to express their emotion. Usually, they are put on a pedestal that they have to succeed everywhere. I have seen many cases that they are pushed in a way to show off to the other parent that this parent is taking care of that child very well. So is it a good tendency to do like that?
I think you almost answered your own question.
Hmm.
So, like you said, it is, first of all, it is never good to put a lot of pressure on the child. It is good to encourage the child. It is good to motivate the child to be better. For example, the child is not interested in something, okay, probably music or whatever, even academics, probably science stream, and you put them in the science stream and they're like, you have to excel, definitely become an engineer, have to show your father that you are an engineer now, but the child is not interested in that. Okay, so in that case, there's no point in showing up to the other parent or the partner, ex-partner, when your child is not happy. And you correctly put it, the parent does such behaviors because they feel like they have to show the other person that they have raised them well, right? And this is not right. This is, again, these are one of the reasons why probably the child withdraws. They're like, okay, there's so much pressure on me now. At least, when my parents were together, they were fighting among themselves. Now after they're separated, now they're putting so much pressure on me and I have to deal with all of this alone, right? So that again is not right. That is not the right way to cope. But yeah, like you said, a lot of parents do this, and the child is the scapegoat here.
Ma'am, like just showing, as ma'am told, it is good to normally encourage them. But when this becomes, it becomes toxic, and also there is a tendency that one parent is not interested to show the child to the other parent. It is good when it is toxic, but
Yes.
it becomes bad when it is a healthy parent. Both are healthy,
Yeah,
but they
yeah,
separated due to their reasons.
exactly, exactly. So it is better for the parent to, be in touch. It is better for the child to be in touch with both the parents. Like, unless if the other parent is very abusive, then it makes sense for the child to not be in touch. But if the parent is emotionally stable and they separated because of some issues that they had, then it is, better for the child to have access to the other parent. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I can see another person has raised their hands. You can speak. I'm not able to see the name.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it's Sanvi.
Yeah, hi. Yeah.
Yeah. So, ma'am, one thing that I wanted to discuss was that, like, after attending such sessions, we do get to know and realize that we have to work on ourselves and we need to figure our own way out through such situations. But
Yeah.
in this presentation, also, there were certain slides where, there were mentioned what the parents need to do. So sometimes
Yeah.
it gets very difficult for us to make them understand, because see, they are not attending this session, or they are not going through these slides or what's mentioned on their part, what they have to do. And when we try to make them understand at times, it gets very difficult for us to convey it to them. At the end, we
Yes.
kind of give up, and then they are also a bit disheartened after that whole argument or discussion that has happened, because it does escalate at times and it becomes into a heated argument. And then what happens is that if we are a little way more understanding than our parents, then what we have to do is that after the argument, we have to cater to both our parents' needs very separately. Like we will have to deal with our mothers in a very different way and cater to her emotional needs after the argument. And we also have to go to our fathers and assure them that we also understand his part, where he's coming from, and then try to strike a balance. But that never happens because after all of those efforts, when we are on our own, it gets very difficult for us to deal with our own things at the end of the day.
Yes, very, very rightly put. And also, thank you for first of all sharing this experience. I know it must be very, very hard, and especially like you said, you're taking the first step to learning about such things, whereas your parents are not. That's first of all great on your part, and I really understand the frustration that comes where you are putting in so much effort, whereas you feel like your parents who actually need the help for their relationship, they aren't putting the effort. So I understand where the frustration can come from. And also when you have to cater to your father's need, you have to cater to your mother's need, then also the child in a way split, is no longer one child. It's like the father's child, the mother's child. And in that also, if a child does some mistake, the other parent is blamed. So it is very, very difficult for the child. I really understand. So it is in such situations, it is important for the child to draw boundaries. Again, to draw boundaries, you need a help of an adult, right? These are some things that parents, you can't drag me into this. So you need to set certain boundaries, but that can also again come from the help of an adult, or if you can figure that out on your own, that is really, really great. So if you feel like you've been pulled in two different directions, I think you have to set some boundaries and also do some self-care routines for yourself so that you feel better. And I also saw that, you said there are fights going on. At that time, you can do some breathing or grounding exercises and maybe, not try to engage in them if that is making you very overwhelmed. Yes, Kanvi. I hope that answered your question. If not, you can go ahead.
Yeah, no, it definitely did answer my question. I just wanted to convey this because I felt like sharing something here at this platform. One more thing, if I may mention, is that uh, the thing is that our parents are like my parents are around 50 years old, and I cannot expect them to change. So at the end of the day, it's like I either have to change, like work on myself, or kind of give up at the end of the day and just be silent, because there is no other way around that.
Yeah, definitely. And yes, I think that's a frustration that a lot of us Indians, I think, go through, especially because there's so little awareness about mental health, right? So it feels like we have to be our better version so that our future children don't have to, if we decide to have children, that is, they don't have to go through what we are going through. Yeah. So thank you so
Yeah,
much for sharing that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kanvi, I saw that you raised your hand. So do you have anything to share?
Yes, yes. Um, I feel like usually in the society, the divorce is considered to be a negative thing, but now I feel like people are very mindful. Women have the privilege to stand out, that they don't want to be staying in an emotionally unavailable or compromising on things in marriage, and they move forward to divorce, and that is really appreciated. Even on
Yeah.
the boy side also, because the issues are at both hand, right? जैसे कि ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती. So that is a positive point of the divorce thing, I consider. And the second thing is, like Sanvi told it, I can relate to her. Since with age, everybody becomes rigid. Even after 30s, I myself would become rigid, right? Because
Yes.
we are comfortable in our own things, and everybody likes to be in a comfort zone. And anything outside our comfort zone, we find it like to leave it at any cost, even if it is bad for us, right? And the last thing I would like to share is that yes, sometimes it is really difficult. Like we get exhausted by being the sole fixer for anybody and going into being people pleaser or kind of things, because like the home is a place where everybody, if we are not able to express at our homes, so obviously our relation with other people in society will also be, a giving one, and it will lead us to connect with, like, uh, lessons we need to learn. And obviously we are not that emotionally strong, because the emotional one thing is the basic need after the, food, shelter and food, etc. So if that
Yeah.
is not filled, and that is going to affect your every area of your life, relationships, career, and everything. And the only solution which I learned from this all is that, control the controllable. And there will be times when, like, you will be doing your work, and since you're in the same environment, that will trigger you and everything. But there will be a day you will burst out and you will react same as your parents are. But ultimately, you have to get back. You can stay there for a day or something, but I feel you have to make yourself that much strong, that like you have to respond your reaction to uh, uh, respondents, right? So, and that is the thing. And I feel like we are very privileged that we are in a generation that we are at least able to get our information, even if it is through online, because obviously nobody has that much time, and there are many people in the group and only few are attending it, and some are very consecutive in every part, everything, right? Even if they are there and not listening also, still it is far better than those who are not able to, right? And only thing I wanted to ask about this thing is, can you please tell that how we can, if somebody is triggering us, then how we can cope up with that thing, because that was a current challenge I was facing. And that's
So if you feel like somebody is like triggering you in in the sense of your parents, or in which sense are you talking?
yes, if some behavior of my mother or father is triggering me, and it is causing an hamper in my recovery journey, or improving myself, or just tackling up with these things, so how I can, cope up with it, like that it should not be affecting me, because
Okay.
I do get triggered at some words of my parents, and which is not my fault. Neither
Yeah,
she
yeah.
can help. I have requested her so much, not to speak, but still, we can't change anybody's behavior, so that's why.
Okay. So in that moment, what you can do is to, first of all, if you feel like reacting would only make things worse, then first of all, not react to it and use some grounding technique like breathing technique, or this 5 4 3 2 1 technique, right? To bring you back to the present moment, right? You just have to maybe, uh, don't respond to their baits or things like that, because that is only going to escalate the problem and you feel like they're not going to understand you, right? At that moment is for your job right there is to control the trigger, right? They're trying to get, if they're trying to manipulate you, or if they're trying to rage bait you, then it is better for you to not engage in that. Later it is better to, if you have any self-care routine or any hobbies that you have, you can probably engage about it. You can do that to make yourself feel better, feel a little bit more happy. Then you can share any of this to your any trusted adult or any friend of yours whom you feel can help you or support you, right? But if you feel like this is getting very very hard for you, it is very important for you to set a healthy boundary with your parent. Like, just saying like, I need a break right now, I can't do this. And your boundary should not be disrespect, and that is just self protection, right? And that is important, and you're not trying to take sides there, right? Your boundaries are required so that you are not emotionally overwhelmed all the time. So yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to ask that if we are living the situation there, so will it come in a state of an avoidant one, like if we are, I'm leaving that space, something is triggering me and I'm leaving that place, but the other person is offended because of his or her thing and everything, thinking and everything. So how I can remove myself from that situation, that so that I don't get triggered, and it should not look or even I should not build it as a behavior which is considered into an avoidant behavior. So if you can tell something related to that.
So to get your question right, so if actually I didn't fully understand your question. So
Basically, if something is triggering me, some words or some situation, I want to just go away from that situation physically, because I don't want to react. Right? So, how I can do that assertively so that even I myself should not, be, build an avoidant behavior for them
okay,
also and for me also. So, that was a question.
okay. So first of all, you know, taking a small break from a very heated argument is not an avoidant behavior, right? You're taking some time to collect yourself because the emotions are so heightened, right? And you're aware at this point I might say something which might not be very appropriate, right? So in that moment it is okay to take some space for yourself. Take that space, regain your calm, regain your collectiveness, think about what has happened in that situation, right? Reflect on it, what has happened. Okay, did I say something wrong? If you feel like you've said something wrong, you can apologize later when things have settled down, when the other person has also calmed down. Okay, right? After that, re-engage, and there's nothing wrong in that, and there's nothing avoidant about that. Okay, you're prioritizing yourself well-being there, and also the other persons, because at that point engaging in that conversation might be futile, right? So you spoke about, that certain things are not in your control, and I think I would like to conclude with that only, like the serenity prayer, if some of you know. So it is just a small prayer which says like, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Right? It's a serenity prayer. Okay, it's a very very small one, so I can put it in the chat box if you guys want. You can take a look at it. So when you just said that, it just reminded me of that. Okay, so this is, I hope you can see it. Yeah, so this is called a serenity prayer. So so I'll just finish the workshop with this. So MindTribe's counseling offering, our motto encapsulates our mission, empowering minds, transforming lives. We provide counseling sessions at competitive rate of rupees 1,000 at 45 minute session, per 1,000 rupees per 45-minute session. Additionally, we extend a generous 20% discount to students, ensuring accessibility to our support services. To further enhance affordability, we have devised various package options that can cater to a range of needs and preferences. As a token of our appreciation for your participation, we are delighted to offer you three fortunate individuals the opportunity for complimentary consultation. These details will be communicated through the workshop's WhatsApp group in the upcoming days. MindTribe's counseling offering. Dr. Prerna Kohli, the esteemed founder of MindTribe, is a distinguished psychologist in India. Her remarkable achievements include being a 4-time gold medalist, a published author, and a recipient of the prestigious President of India Award. Under her visionary leadership, MindTribe provides a comprehensive range of services. Affordable counseling. Our counseling services are designed to be accessible to all individuals seeking support. Free group therapy. We offer 12-week group therapy of free group therapy sessions conducted once a week as a part of our commitment to promote mental health well-being within the community. Rich mental health resources. Our extensive library of self-help tutorials, guided meditation, and insightful podcast on mental health is readily available on our YouTube channel. For inquiries and assistance, please feel free to reach us through the following channels. So it's given here, the email ID, the phone number. At MindTribe, we are dedicated to nurture the mental health and well-being with the focus on accessibility and excellent care. Thank you. That brings us to the end of the session. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You made it quite interactive, and even the participants, and you have structured it really well. And do rest well. And thank you to you as
Thank
well as
you.
the Mind
Take
Tribe
care.
always.
I hope you have a nice lunch, right?
Yes, you
Enjoy
too.
your
Rest well.
Sunday.
Thank you.
Saturday. Okay. Okay.